We are on Parvasi TV at this time, as well as on Parvasi Radio also. So I have a very special guest with me online, Andrea Horwath, leader of NDP, as I announced in the beginning of the show that she will be our guest today. So Andrea is with me now. Andrea, welcome to Radio Parvasi and good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you too. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you,
today,
thank you, Andrea. We are getting press releases from NDP regularly. We are watching you since the beginning of this COVID. You are working very hard, you and your team, fighting for Ontarians. And now we know that kids will be going back to school in the first week of September for the new session. So you announced very impressive plan yesterday and demanded a couple of things from the provincial government. Tell us more about that.
Well, I think the most important thing is that we get kids back to school with a safe September plan that makes sure that we don't have any exposures to COVID-19 and don't have any outbreaks. And I think we can reach that goal if we make the investments necessary to keep workers and students safe. And so, the plan that the government announced yesterday is pretty late. So we like to say it's a day late and a dollar short because it's kind of last minute. And of course, we know that the government has already cut $800 million, the Ford government, from education at a time when we should be investing in smaller class sizes. We should be investing in more supports, mental health supports, to get kids back to where they should be, both mentally and academically. We should be, the government announced some action around ventilation. I guess we'll get some details, today from the minister, but they made that promise last year and didn't fix the ventilation in the schools. And so we want to see not only investments in ventilation improvements, but we want some standards. We want some standards so that parents and education workers and teachers and staff will know that the improvements that are being made are actually up to par, that they're up to a standard. There's I think a lot of things that we could be doing, and it's disappointing, and I think it's a little bit troubling for parents not to have the answers to some pretty basic questions, like what happens if there is an outbreak, and what are the protocols? Parents have gone through a really difficult, 16, 18 months or so, trying to support their kids and work from home on reduced incomes often. It's been really tough watching their kids have become more isolated, watching their kids' mental health deteriorate, feeling really helpless in terms of how to help their kids. Now the least we should be able to do is do everything we can to keep kids in school, prevent them from having to go home with a COVID outbreak at their school, and make sure that everybody's safe.
Okay, Andrea, another equally important field is health also. We have a good news that first ever time in Brampton Civic Hospital, we don't have any patient in emergency room of COVID-19. It's really wonderful news, but what we have seen, what we have suffered during this COVID-19, we have seen that more than 200, 300 patients had been shifted from Brampton Civic Hospital to other parts of the province. So this is a time we need to think again that how much we need to invest in healthcare sector, and particularly in Peel region, and more particularly in Brampton, where the population is growing like anything.
Yeah, you've mentioned something extremely important, Rajinder, because yes, we saw people during COVID have to leave be treated elsewhere in Brampton, which is other than Brampton, which is a problem. Because you don't have your support system, you don't have your family. If you're sent to some other community to be treated, it's not as optimal. But you're right. I mean, Brampton has been ground zero for hallway medicine for years under the Liberals. COVID-19 has now taken a toll, and it's great that there are no more COVID-19 folks in the emergency wards. But we know that it won't take long for that emergency ward to fill up and be bursting at the seams again. And on top of it, we have all kinds of procedures and surgeries that have been postponed. And the government's investing less than half of what's necessary to clear up that backlog. So there's a lot of heavy lifting that needs to be done to invest in the healthcare system in Brampton that has been ignored for far too long, and the pressure is even worse. And as you say, the community continues to grow. So that's why we've made those commitments for a long time now, to not only deal with Peel Memorial and make sure that it's a full service hospital, but actually build a third hospital as well to help take the pressure off of the Brampton Hospital.
Okay, and another important field is the housing, affordable housing in Peel, Andrea, and particularly again in Brampton. As I said, more and more people are coming to Brampton, making it their home. Students are settling here. It's overcrowded now. Our Prime Minister was here a couple of weeks back. They announced around 300 more units, but they are not sufficient. It's nothing.
No.
The way the population is growing in Brampton area, you have made a plan yesterday. Tell us more about that.
Well, yeah, we've been listening to the people in Brampton. We've been listening to elected officials in Brampton, including the mayor, listening to our own MPPs who represent the various parts of Brampton, and have long been concerned about the pressure that's building in terms of housing availability and affordability. We know that the households are crowded right now. We know that so 1 in 5 people who live in Peel are living in a home that's overcrowded, that's cramped. So we have a couple of solutions specifically because Brampton has indicated that these problems need to be solved. We do have a comprehensive plan called Homes You Can Afford, but 2 things that particularly we put in that plan to address some of the pressure in Brampton. One is helping people to buy their own home with a loan, an equity loan of up to 10% of the purchase price to help with the down payment. We know that so many, like the next generation, newer generations of Ontarians and younger generations of Ontarians deserve hope that they can actually dream of home ownership and dream that home ownership is not just a dream, but that it's something that they can achieve. So that's one thing. Then the other thing is a Residents' Rights Act, residents' rights, and what that does is it makes it inexpensive and safe to convert living space into, for example, extra rental space. So basement apartments, garages, separate floors of the house being safely turned into granny flats or rentals. And this is something I know Brampton has been struggling with. There's been a lot of concern around the safety of some of the units that exist now, and we need to be a partner with the municipality and making those spaces safe, and making sure that people have the ability, to add those kinds of spaces to help them pay the rent and to help accommodate, large families, multi-generational families, as well as renters.
Okay, Andrea, thank you so much. Brampton, Peel, I would say, have tons of problems, multiple problems, and you and your MPPs from Brampton, Sarah Singh, Kevin Yard, and Guratan, they're all working hard. Yeah, Guratan, they're all working hard, raising all these issues. Keep fighting for these issues. We really thank you for that.
Well, it is our pleasure, and I'm very proud of the MPPs from Brampton. They've really worked hard to listen and to bring forward ideas that we've been able to put into our platform, and we're going to keep doing that. Whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing, we're there for the people of Brampton. Absolutely. So thank you, Rajinder. Really nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. All the best. ਇਹ ਸਨ Andrea Horwath, NDP ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਹਾਊਸਿੰਗ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਪਲਾਨ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਪਲਾਨ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗਰੋਇੰਗ ਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ, ਫਾਸਟੈਸਟ ਗਰੋਇੰਗ ਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ, ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਤੇਜ਼ੀ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਬਾਦੀ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੀ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਪੂਰੇ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਤਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਨੈਚੁਰਲੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਾਂ ਵੀ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੀਆਂ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਚਾਹੇ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਹੋਣ, NDP ਹੋਵੇ, ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟ PC ਹੋਣ। ਆਮ ਸ਼ੋਰ ਕਿ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਹਦੇ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟਸ ਨਿਕਲ ਸਕਦੇ।